Hi guys, this is John Adamson, the Rehab and Documentation Guru, and I'm driving, so I'm not going to look at my camera except for brief glances. But I wanted to talk to you today about when do you know that it's time to release from your care a maintenance therapy patient. And so I want to dispel, first of all, a couple myths. Number one, that patients must have a neurological condition, progressive neurological condition, to get maintenance therapy. And that is definitely a myth. In fact, if you look at CMS's website, Medicare's website, they, under the different chapters of the Medicare Benefit Policy Manual, they have a number of case scenarios related to maintenance therapy. And several of them are not neurological patients. So Medicare understands that some patients that are maintained, or you prevent or slow their decline, which also falls under the maintenance provision, might not be neurological. In fact, one of the cases they utilize is an orthopedic case, as explaining what that might look like. So anyway, patients do not have to be progressive neurological. But the other misconception about maintenance therapy is that you will keep this patient on caseload for the rest of their life. And that is clearly not so. In fact, a lot of the scenarios that Medicare utilizes are clear temporary maintenance caseloads. There is an understanding that some patients may be on for the rest of their life. Like Ms. Glenda Jimmo, who kicked off this whole maintenance thing, she'll probably be on for the rest of her life because she's sued Medicare twice. And they don't want to tick her off anymore. But with that said, sometimes you are transitioning patients off maintenance. And so I want to take you back to the concept of what Medicare terms reasonable and necessary care. So Medicare has a definition that reasonable and necessary care, and this applies to whether it's a maintenance patient or not, is of such complexity that only you could safely and effectively deliver that care. So complexity has to do with not only the complexity of the patient with their clinical presentation, but also your complexity in what you do. And then you got to ask the questions of safety and effectiveness. If you don't treat the patient, could another person safely take care of them? Well, if they could safely take care of them, then maybe you're not necessary. And then also effectiveness. Can the other person effectively do what you're doing? And then if that's the case, you don't need to be seeing them for maintenance. So just to illustrate, I do have a progressive neurological patient, supranuclear palsy. Very complex patient. So part of the equation of medical necessity is complexity of the patient. And then part of the reason I put him on maintenance was because it was clear at the time that he had a lot of stuff going on with his gait and transfers, which was what I was trying to maintain functionally. And the gait dynamics were very complex and required a lot of input from me each visit. I often came out of that visit feeling tired because of the amount of effort I was having to do to kind of maintain his balance while he was walking and his gait dynamics. So what happened was I've had him on maintenance therapy for only like 3 weeks. And then his wife hired a full-time caregiver. And this guy's big. If you've met me, you know I'm not big. And he's strong. And he's younger than me. So anyway, he started walking my patient. And anyway, I didn't know that until I showed up one day and he said, yeah, I've been walking this patient. And I'm like, oh. So I watched him walk him. Now, first of all, he was not walking him in a safe way. So with that said, the patient was losing balance left and right. And this guy, by the nature of his strength, was keeping him upright. The other thing was he was not nearly as effective. This guy has a tendency to retropulse. He has lack of coordination with his legs. He has problems weight shifting to one side to advance his contralateral limb. There's a lot of techniques I was utilizing to make him more effectively walk. So with that said, sorry, I'm on my driveway now. It's kind of bumpy. So with that said, in order for me to turn this patient over to this non-licensed person, I had to show that he could safely and effectively handle him. So last visit, I went to see the patient. I had already corrected some of the things this aide was doing, and it was pretty clear. I mean, by the nature of his strength, he was safely managing the patient, but he wasn't as effective as me. He was still causing the patient to have a lot of retropulsion. Wasn't helping him advance his leg properly, wasn't cueing him. There was also some transfer issues. So today I went out and I had him walk with the patient with a little bit more instruction, and he effectively did it. So he was not only safe last visit, but today he was safe and effective. He walked him a lot better. Where he was still lacked effectiveness was transfers, because I can get the patient to transfer with about a min assist. He was still more mod to max, just based on the retropulsion. So I have one goal left for this guy, which is the maintenance of his transfers. But it's pretty clear that I will be able to safely and effectively turn over this complex patient to a non-licensed person. So I will literally have this guy on for less than 4 weeks on maintenance therapy. That will be a safe and effective transition off of maintenance therapy. And so maintenance patients, that always going back to those key concepts of what Medicare looks at as reasonable and necessary care. And if you get to the point where it's clear that a non-licensed person with training can safely and effectively do what you're doing, despite the complexity of the patient, it's time to transition off of maintenance therapy. Anyway, this has been John Adamson, the Rehab and Documentation Guru. Hoping you have a great day. And by the way, I just want to thank all of you. My videos and my subscribership is starting to grow in terms of viewership, and I appreciate that. If I've got content that's helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up and a subscription, and spread the word. The more love, the merrier. And also send me any ideas you have for future videos. I've got lots of ideas, but you might have different, and I'd like to hear from you. Take care, God bless, and have a great day.